What's up, YouTube, man? We back with another reaction. Today, we got the new podcast. I'm sure all of y'all know by now. Everybody that's here, at least. LeBron James and Redick have a new podcast. This is the very first episode. It's called What Makes a Great Basketball Player. And it's called Mind the Game Pod. And this is expected to be, just strictly basketball talk, man. So finally, some real basketball talk, man, for real basketball heads, not for the casuals, man. It's not for them casuals. It's not the ESPN analysts. This is real hoopers. LeBron James and Redick, two great minds. This should be interesting, man. It's about 43 minutes. Grab your popcorn, get your snacks or whatever, man. This may be a new little series for to react to. I don't know how often they're gonna drop episodes, but if it's like once a week or something like that, then that's manageable. If it's multiple in a week, then I don't know. But if it's like once a week, man, we might be able to have a new little series to react to. But here we go, man. LeBron finally is on the podcast. This is what we've been waiting on. I thought it probably wouldn't get this till his career ended, but LeBron on one of these podcasts.
Dude, I'm so excited.
Unfortunately, this don't sound like we gonna get to hear like them stories and shit that we want to hear. They said strictly basketball, but
We're gonna have this conversation. It's gonna be fun. I just wanted to, before we start, I want to make sure we're on the same page with why we're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think the core, it's got to be what nothing else is, which is we're celebrating the game, right? So I think overall, I want it to feel comfortable, relaxed. Mm-hmm. I want it to strike a very positive tone. I typically rant about things. I'm gonna probably rant today. It just comes out naturally, whatever.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Mind the Game with LeBron James and Redick. This is a new podcast presented by Uninterrupted and 342 Productions. I want to be clear here. This is a basketball show. This is a show with the intention and purpose to celebrate the game, promote the game, explain the game. We will be covering a number of topics, not just the NBA. NCAA, men's and women's, WNBA, FIBA. LeBron and I are two people who I would call us obsessed with the game of basketball, with this sport that has given so much to us. And 2 weeks ago, we sat down in LA to record the first two episodes. The first episode actually asks a simple question: what makes a great basketball player? Beyond just talent and skill set. And
that's a great question, real talk. That's a great question. A lot of people don't know what makes a great basketball player beyond you just being cold on a lot of people just see you in game like, oh boy, he cold, he got all the skill, but it's a lot of other shit that go into it, mental, all that stuff. Oh yeah, this gonna be good.
Beyond just talent and skill set. And we touch on a number of things that we think make a great basketball player. This is about creating separation. Once you get to the highest levels, everybody has talent. Everybody has skill. How do you separate yourself? One of the things we talk about is basketball intelligence. In some ways, it's a nod to the title of the show. And we posit the question, can you learn basketball intelligence? Can you learn and develop basketball IQ, or is it innate? And I would argue, of course you can. Of course you can develop basketball intelligence through film study, through great coaching, and of course, through the number one teacher, experience. And I think that's an important thing to note. I was fortunate to play 15 years in the NBA. It was a hard 15 years of being a plumber, but I had a great experience, and I learned so much about the game, and I had great coaches, and I had great teammates. LeBron, of course, has played the game at the highest level for 21 years. His experience is valuable. His basketball IQ is valuable. One thing to note, if you are listening to this podcast, we also have a video podcast available on social and YouTube. And in those videos, we will be showing the exact basketball concepts that we are talking about. Episode 1 actually has a few different basketball concepts that we talk about. Episode 2 is a little more granular, a little more X and O. But episode 1, we do talk about thumb down. What is thumb down? Thumb down is simply a high screen and roll, a high pick and roll. Thumb down angle, which LeBron references, is just when that pick and roll is angled.
Boy, they talk concepts. Hey, real talk. This is not for the casuals, man. This is not for the casuals. Hold on, I gotta lock in. As a getting ready to start my coaching career for real. I gotta lock in. These thumb down,
which LeBron references, is just when that pick
and
roll
is just a high pick and roll, though.
Angled to a side of the floor. So it's not in the center of the floor. It's either in that left high quadrant or that right high quadrant, closer to the sideline. So thumb down angle would simply be a ball handler with the ball, a player in either corner, another player in the high quadrant opposite the ball.
But JJ ain't the only one. Well, I got my clipboard too.
And again, these two guys can play pick and roll, and you play out of that. By the way, a lot of teams call high pick and roll something different. Not every team calls it thumb down. I know when I played for Stan Van Gundy and the Orlando Magic, we had thumb down, which was a high screen and roll with the 5-man, the center. We also had a screen and roll called thumb up, which was with the 4-man. LeBron, by the way, will reference X4 and X5. Some teams call the 4-man X4. Some teams just call him 4. Some teams call the 5-man X5. Some teams call the 5-man just 5. Horn's chest is another play that we talk about. Horn's chest is when two offensive players are in both corners, and then two offensive players are directly above the elbow or free throw line area
screen on
at
both
the three-point line, creating almost like horns. And then the point guard plays off of that. So the point guard can dribble off either side. The point guard can also throw.
This good shit. This good information here, bro. For any young hoopers, this good information. I remember in high school we ran a horn set. Basically, point guard at the top. You picking which side you gonna come off the screen, right or left. Come out that right side. You trying to attack downhill. You got the guy in the corner to kick to. You got the dude that just set the screen rolling. Or if the guy that set the screen, he might pop. The other guy on the other side, that was, if you would have went to the left, might roll down. So you got multiple options.
The ball to one of the players at the horns, and they can get into screening action. This is horns, very simple.
Yep.
Ball handler, player in either corner, and then two players up here. A lot of times, this guy will be the 5-man, this guy will be the ball handler, and this guy will be the scorer or the shooter. Boston Celtics, by the way, when they run their horns action, a lot of times the 5-man is spaced to one of these corners, and they involve Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and either Drew Holiday or Derek White. Horns chest is a very simple play. So let's say this is LeBron, and this is D'Angelo right here, and this is the X5, this is the 5-man. D'Angelo would dribble off of a LeBron screen right here, and then the 5-man would then set a chest screen or a flare screen
for
nice. LeBron to this side.
That's nice.
And that's ultimately where the ball would go. Another play we talk about is floppy, which is a play that I ran all the time. I'm not actually sure why it's called floppy. I do know that the visual for floppy was this. So I think floppy means you can basically go to either side. Floppy is when a catch and shoot offensive player goes underneath the basket, and there's two bigs, one on either side, that can screen for him, and he looks to come off of screens on either side
in high school, boy.
And catch and shoot the ball.
I love running floppy in high school.
Action. So you have the two bigs. Let's say this is the 5-man, this is the 4-man, this is the point guard, and then you have the two wing players underneath the basket. And let's say that 2 is the shooter. He can come off either side for a catch and shoot. He could also come off the 5-man, catch and shoot. And honestly, this is going to get a little discombobulated. I know when I played with Matt Barnes in Philly, we would just dance in circles in here, and then I'd shoot out one of these sides. When I think about the game of basketball, I regard it as so important. I care for it. I love it. I want to pay attention to it. I want to learn more about it. The game is constantly evolving. And hopefully, these discussions and conversations that LeBron and I have, sometimes with other basketball players and basketball people, hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can teach and explain and celebrate. Hopefully we can mind the game.
I like it already, I ain't gonna lie. I like it already, man. This for real hoop heads, man. This is not for the casuals.
What'd you bring?
Well, we're going to start off. I brought 2 bottles. Chambertin 2012. I brought this. This is special. My first championship year. Very special to me, so.
It's a good vintage in Burgundy.
Very, very good vintage. And then Lynch Bosch, 95. I just brought that. I just feel like that's a nice little aftershock. But I'm going to open the 2012 Chambertin, and then we could just, that's okay with you.
It's more than okay with me.
I heard you're a wine guy, too, so.
Well, I told you this. We were originally supposed to record this first sit down in New York. So in anticipation of that, I actually brought 3 bottles of 89 Leroy, Clos de la Roche, to the office. And obviously some things came up. We didn't make it work, so.
That's a great sound, by the way.
We were both on the same page.
Yes,
we were both
absolutely.
on the same page,
Absolutely.
which I love. It's funny, I called your game Wednesday night against the Clippers. You had just an insane fourth quarter. And I was talking about, as it relates to you, competitive stamina, which is simply the ability to do something at a high level and then get up the next day and do it again. And for you, that's happened season after season, year after year. I think the best players have a level of competitive stamina. And it's one of 3 qualities for me that make a great basketball player. Because your quote after the game, it was, I know I was born with some gifts and athletic abilities, but that only gets you so far.
For sure.
What are the qualities for you that make a great basketball player beyond just talent and skill set and size?
Knowing the history of the game. Knowing the history of the game, knowing the ones that came before you, knowing the ones that paved the way, knowing the reason why you're actually having the ability to actually live out your dream. That doesn't happen without the people that came before you. It doesn't happen without Bill Russell, going through what he went through during the civil rights movement and all those things. Oscar Robertson going on with what he had to deal with, during those times. It does not happen if they're able to just be.
Hey, that's facts though. You gotta be able to respect the ones that then played this game before you, not be one of them guys that's shitting on the rest of these players that then played before you. Talking about every generation weak as hell. Oh, each generation, of course, gonna get better and better. Like in 10 years, bro, they gonna be talking about this generation, talking about we better than this generation. Like the kids that's growing up now, they gonna be saying they better now. Like, but each generation is the game's supposed to grow. It's supposed to get better. But you gotta remember who that paved the way. These guys that came before you. That's real talk right there.
During those times, it does not happen if they're able to just be.
I feel like you can't be really great. You can't be when I say great, you could be a really good player. When I say great, I'm talking about NBA level great. You can't be great if you don't appreciate the ones that came before you, the ones that been great. If you don't appreciate the greats.
Pure in who they are, that allows us to now perform and do it with no care. Also, I think discipline at people.
Facts.
You know what? People use that word so loosely.
What does it mean to you?
You have to have the ability when it comes to discipline. It's like you have to sacrifice loved ones. You have to sacrifice loved ones for a long period of time if you want to be great. It is very unfortunate, and you feel it at times. You know the saying: if it's too hot, get the hell out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta get out of the kitchen because it gets hot. But you have to have a discipline to sometimes you have to sacrifice loved ones in order to be great because they don't understand. And that's okay. They don't understand what it means to, like, I am getting up every single day at 5 or 6 a.m. And when I get home after everyone leaves the gym, I'm going to take a nap. So now you're sacrificing your loved ones because you're not spending time with them. And when I wake up, I'm probably going to train again and then I'm going to have dinner, and then I'm going to bed. And I'm going to do that every single day for a long period of time. That's sacrificing and discipline. You know, and for me, I was 18 when I came into the league. So I got my best friend from high school that's now in college. I got one that's at Ohio State. I got two that's at the University of Akron. I have another one that's at a school in West Virginia, Fairmount State. And they're calling me, telling me, hey, bro, you gotta come down to these parties. You're not going to college. You're never going to be in college. And I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I look back on it now. I wish I would have done a few of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I wish I did. But then the third thing, JJ asked, do you really love the game? Like, do you really love the game? And I'm not just talking about like wins and losses. Do you really love the process of the game and everything that happens before the referee does like this? That's the easy part. You know this. You know this. You was one of the first ones in the gym, one of the last ones to leave. Everyone sees when the cameras are rolling and the 20,000 fans are there and the cheerleaders are dancing and the popcorn is popping and the celebrities are sitting in celebrity row. But like, who has the love for the game when nobody is there? You know?
I love all of that. And it's interesting, the love of the game part is so funny to me because I think there's a distinction between loving the game, i.e. the game, the actual competition itself, and what it means to actually love the game and everything that goes into that. You hear guys all the time, I just want to play, I just want to play. Okay, do you want to do all the things that are necessary that lead up to playing the actual game?
Well, the guys that say I just want to play their career won't be long. Yeah, because they're not going to put in all the intricate parts of
facts, man. I hope it's some kids. This podcast is gonna be great for young kids right now that's in high school trying to hoop, man. This shit I be trying to preach to some of these kids, you know, where I work at. I'm working with a lot of kids that's in high school that hoop, and I'm working with some AAU team right now as well. And this is what I try to preach to them. Like, it don't matter if you want to play college, just college ball. Forget the NBA. If you just want to get to college ball, man, you gotta really love the game, man. I went to college. I've been to one JUCO, and it wasn't that hard to get into that JUCO, man. They accepted everybody, and if you was a decent basketball player, the coach took you. And some of them guys just was good enough to keep playing past high school, but they didn't really love the game. They just wanted to be, say they was on a team. And that's one of the reasons I had to get up out of that JUCO, because the team wasn't no good, man. Like, you got half of the team that really wanted, half of this team trying to play here at the JUCO and get a scholarship to go back to a university or whatever. Then you got half of them that just happy they playing past high school, but they ain't really putting in the necessary work outside of practice in the games. You gotta do shit outside of your 2-hour-long practice, and whenever the game come, you gotta do other work outside of that in the weight room and in the gym, just wherever, man. And a lot of kids that's in high school right now that I don't work with them, but no, that I be at my job, that I talk to, that I see a lot. I try to put them on that kind of game, and a lot of them don't understand it, man. This be good podcast for some of them kids to watch, for a lot of kids to watch, man. Hearing LeBron, you know, it's a lot of people, GOATs, a lot of these kids, player they look up to, telling you what it is right here.
To get to that point, it's not gonna last that long. It's not gonna last that long. You won't have a long, sustainable career, and that's okay. Some guys, I mean, you've been in a locker room. Some guys don't really care about playing a long time in this league, or having a sustain. So sometimes I look in like some of the all-star locker rooms I've been in, and you see a guy 1 year, or you see a guy maybe 2 years, and then he's not in the locker room anymore after that, and you just like wonder to yourself why. You know, you don't know. You don't know if it's the max contract that he got after he made the all-star team. You don't know if now they know him by one name for one summer. You know, you just don't.
I won't spill my trail mix.
No, but it's like if you want to be great and want to be like legendary, or not even. I don't even say that. if you want to maximize everything that you have with your career and your ability, then squeeze the fuck out of that lemon.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I want to talk about each of those three things a little in depth, because I also have three things. But the history of the game part's interesting to me, because you brought up Oscar Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
And whether the casual fan knows this or not, Oscar Robertson sued in 1970 for free agency. And that court case took 6 years. So the NBA really didn't have any form of free agency until 1976. Side note, in 1977, at the time in free agency, you had to compensate the team that was losing the player.
Mm-hmm.
So Gail Goodrich left the Los Angeles Lakers and went to the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz compensated the Lakers with some future draft picks. One of those picks turned out to be Magic Johnson.
Be Magic.
Pretty interesting.
That's crazy.
You talked about the discipline. It's pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool, though. It's like soccer now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like soccer. You got to compensate the club in order.
There wasn't real unrestricted free agency. John Concact was the first guy, and that was like 1987.
Right.
It just didn't exist.
Right,
So,
right.
The reason, I didn't make as much money as you, but the reason I got to make a lot of money in the NBA is like, it's a direct line to Oscar Robertson.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so let's celebrate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talk.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, these are the same players that certain people would shit on. Like, man, they playing plumbers and shit, but these are the same players that's helping you get these contracts. I'm talking about NBA players that's helping them get contracts and shit nowadays. That's crazy.
Direct line to Oscar Robertson.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so let's celebrate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the sacrificing loved ones. I always felt like my pursuit was so selfish.
Yeah.
And I would acknowledge that to my wife, my kids, whatever, my friends.
Yeah.
It was so selfish, but
Yeah.
it was like the only way that I knew how to do it.
That's
The only way.
That's it.
So you touched on those things. My three things are competitive stamina,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to get to in a second. The love of the game is one of mine, for sure. Caring more about your craft instead of the other stuff that doesn't matter is a direct quote from you.
For sure.
And then the third one, I think, is basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Basketball IQ. I have described Nikola Jokic, I've described you as having supercomputers. Like, your processing speed is a little different. I put James Harden in that category.
Mm-hmm.
I put Luka in that category.
Yeah.
There's a number of guys
Yeah.
that have like a different processing speed. Some of this stuff, love of the game, that's a little bit of just desire,
Yep.
attitude, all
Yep.
that stuff. Competitive stamina, same thing.
Yep.
Can you develop basketball IQ at the highest level? You can get a little smarter as a
Right.
player. Can you develop it as a
You know what's
at the
funny?
highest level?
When you brought up basketball IQ, the first thing that came to my mind, I started thinking right away. I was like, are you born with basketball IQ, or are you taught the game the right way, and now the basketball IQ clicks on? Like, I was literally just, when you was explaining that, because I come from.
Man, I think to answer his question real quick, I think you can be taught it the right way. I believe, you know, that I was taught the right way by those that growing up that taught me the game of basketball. You know, if my stepfather taught me the game of basketball, I believe I was taught the right way. Just he had a high IQ of the game. He was a coach, and every coach had a good coach. He was a great coach. He taught me the game the right way, and I think eventually, even though I had some bad coaches, once it was a point he moved me on to where I had to start. He was like, all right, I gotta let you hear other voices, and start having different coaches in junior high and AAU and stuff like that. And I didn't have no great coaches. My stepfather still was my best coach all the way throughout high school. Like, I kept running into bad coaches. Don't know why, but I was able to maintain an IQ level. And it continued to grow and grow. It's like he just said, I feel like it clicked on it. It just continued to grow. And even when I thought I had a high IQ, I finally got to a good coach. My last year playing college ball, playing for a Hall of Fame coach. And man, the IQ level just expanded to a whole nother level that I started picking up even more stuff that it's like little attention to details that a lot of people miss on when it comes to basketball. That
I come
grows
from
your IQ.
I believe great coaching. You know, from
Thank you.
my Little League coach, Frank Walker, Sr., to my, at the time, AAU coach, Coach Drew Joyce, to my high school coach, who was a former college coach, Coach Dambrot, and then my AAU coach took over when Coach Dambrot went back to college basketball. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I was taught the game the right way. But the one thing that those coaches always told me, they told me that I had an uncanny ability to process information faster than anyone they've ever seen. One coach, and this is, I know you're gonna smirk about this.
And one more thing, I ain't know LeBron, when it comes to, obviously, he say he had an uncanny ability to process things, but I think just growing up and having a coach in the house, man, I was always that one player that knew, I wasn't even a point guard my whole life. I became a point guard later, like in junior high, whatever. But growing up, even as I was playing the 3 and the 4, I was able to know where every person on the court was supposed to be at. Like, I was that coach on the court. And I think that helped my IQ grow a lot. And then also being a student of the game, just I stayed on sports stuff and just watching basketball. I'm a visual learner, so if I'm seeing it, I'm seeing the concepts, I'm seeing it, bro, it translates to when I'm out there on the court. I think that helped grow the IQ a lot too.
There's guys in the NBA that if you call a play or a coach draw a play to one side of the floor, they can't switch it in their head and do it and say, let's run it to the other side.
That's crazy.
Without the coach drawing on the clipboard. Yeah. I've never understood that. And I don't know. I never understood that. So if I say we running thumb down angle, we're running on the right side, so because I have a left-hand point guard, he wants to come middle to a strong hand. He has the ability to hit the pocket pass with the left hand, has the ability to throw ahead, he's lefty, and also has the ability to throw back on the shake. But if I say, hey, we run a thumb down angle on the left side because now the right-hand guard coming right, I've had teammates just like, oh, what do you mean? Coaches always, in practice, we only ran it from this side.
Yeah.
I could flip a play when I was 8 years old. No matter if it was just pass and cut, no matter if it was, let's run flex, but let's start on the left side. No matter if it was just, let's DHO, drive and kick. The last one, all right, now let's just drive the baseline, drive, drift.
And once again, though, that also come from coaching for a lot of guys. It come from coaching. My little league team was running 5. I swear to God, we was 3rd, 4th, 5th grade running 5-out motion offense. We running motion offense, and we running to every side. Like, I think that's coaching.
Let's just drive the baseline, drive,
Most
drift.
coaches go teach you a play to one side, never flip it to the other side.
Looking at the ball, you can slot cut. I could do that. I was doing that stuff when I was like 8, 9 years old, and my coaches would just be blown away, and I wouldn't know where it came from. I have no idea. So to get back to your question, I think I was born with a sports IQ, and it could have been any sport, but I just think basketball was the one that I chose, and maybe I was chosen to do that as well. Yeah. And I just took it to a whole, as I got older and your mind you start to live it, you start to want to be a part of it, you start watching. I started watching the games, when I was like 19 years old. When I first started, I was watching just a fan. I was just a fan of Michael Jordan and Anthony Penny Hardaway and Grant Hill and, those guys. I was just a fan. But then when I started playing the game, I actually started like studying what those guys were doing out on the floor and what teams were doing, how teams were guarding, how coaches were coaching, subbing patterns, time of possession. One thing that kills me, JJ, in our league? I'm gonna tell you what kills me.
Tell me what kills you.
The 2-for-1 shot at the end of quarters.
Are you going on an anti-crusade against the 2-for-1?
I understand why the 2-for-1 is important. Obviously, it's numbers. You get 2 possessions, the other team gets 1 possession.
In theory, it's a free shot. But what people sometimes don't account for, the 4 or 5 possessions before that
Are we on a run? Are we on a heater? Have we gotten a good shot over the last 2.5 minutes? What is the other team doing? How are they in a great rhythm? If we haven't gotten a great shot in 2.5, 3 minutes and we've been turning the ball over, why am I just going to dribble down and shoot a 40-footer with 33 on the clock? Why not get a great look? Because that great look at the end of the third, even if we get one shot, may give us momentum going into the fourth quarter.
Right. You know, it's interesting because I think it does fuck with the flow of the game. And as a player, I felt that. As a broadcaster now, where I'm calling games, you have such a good feel as like an outside observer of this action happening. So, end of the second quarter, you're going into halftime with the lead. You've established, let's say, a pick and roll partnership where you're getting a good shot every time down the floor. On the other end, you're getting stops. You're getting stops. So the other team's having, you're right. Why are you going to just jack up a 35-footer? Just go to the pick and roll, rely on your defense. Now, boom, you go into the half with essentially the same momentum you would have if you get the 2-for-1.
Yeah.
By the way, you shouted out your coaches. I want to say this because I think some of it is innate with basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Some of it is the way you're taught.
Uh-huh.
Some of it is going back to your point about discipline, the dedication to the craft. I gotta shout out my coaches now. Because Delmar Irving, Keith Haynes, Dick Wall, my early coaches for the Roanoke Jaguars, they taught me how to play. They taught me how to play with toughness. I get to JV, 8th grade, Chris Morris, Billy Hicks. Then I go to Coach K at Duke. So by the time I got to the NBA, I knew how to process and think the game. It wasn't new to me. It wasn't new to me to think the game.
You also knew it was bullshit and what was not bullshit.
Yes.
There's a lot of bullshit that gets taught in our league because our league has been feast off potential. Guys with potential. They come in and say, this guy has potential. We have to, if it's not year 1, maybe year 2, or not year 3, or maybe year 4, are we going to pick up his option in year 4? Like, it's been grasped on potential. Like that's the whole thing of the lottery. The whole thing of the lottery, pick 1 through 13 or 14, I don't even know what it is now when it cuts off like you've been a lottery pick. But it makes sense why those guys that's like 16 to 30, 16 to 42, why those guys be on real contending teams making impacts.
Why is it the same teams that always draft well? And the same teams that always draft poorly?
I'll tell you when I get my team, the teams that draft well, those guys will be working for me for sure.
Just you get to offer them.
Bron just threw that out there when I get my team. Y'all know Bron getting a team once he retired, bro. He trying to get the team in Vegas too. Y'all know the NBA going to expand at some point. The NBA going to expand. Most likely destinations that I think is just going to happen, bro, it's going to be Vegas for sure. NFL got a Vegas team. WNBA got a Vegas team. Baseball got a Vegas team. NBA is going to have a team in Vegas. So it's going to be the NBA, and then it's going to be Vegas, and it's going to be Seattle. They're going back to Seattle. That means Minnesota or something like that's probably going to end up moving to the East because I don't know why the hell Minnesota's in the West to begin with. But, yeah, man, I'm telling y'all. So he probably trying to get Vegas. That's gonna be something right there.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to get
OKC does an unbelievable job with that.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact. I was thinking about, this. So by like the end of my first year with the Clippers, we realized all of my catch and shoot stuff. I wanted to come over left shoulder.
Yes, sir.
Right. I wanted to come to my right.
Yes, sir.
And so for the next 3 years, every single time we drew up a play, it was to do that, right? When I got to like Philly, to your point about like guys not understanding this, I got to like Philly and New Orleans, the coaches would draw up a play in the huddle, and I'd be like, no, I want to come over my left shoulder. Just flip it.
Yeah,
and I'd walk out on the court, and then my teammates would be like, oh, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? I'm like, no, just flip it. Which guys, by the way, the processing speed, I mentioned a few guys. Guys you played with, guys you played against, that you think have that sort of high-level basketball IQ?
Rajon Rondo.
Facts.
For sure.
Come on now, facts.
He has.
Oh, my God,
He can
Rondo.
process, flip, do things on the go. Like,
Hey, I promise y'all, bro. Rondo is one of my favorite point guards. He was like my second favorite point guard growing up. I swear to God, it was always D Rose. He was always my favorite. Do I got the D Rose poster right now? Oh, it's right here. D Rose was always, bro, my favorite point guard, favorite player, whatever. Growing up, you know, from pretty much from 2008 on when he got drafted. Being from Chicago, he from Chicago. Yeah, you know, y'all know the whole thing. But Rondo was always my second favorite, bro. Rondo, bro. And a lot of people, you know, he ain't giving you a bunch of highlights. He a passing guard. He gonna get you 10 plus assists. But I love seeing how he orchestrated everything with that Boston Celtics team. He was a true point guard, and I study his game. I try to really study his game to make myself a better point guard.
It's very weird to me that he's not coaching at a high level. I think it's because he doesn't want to do it.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And who wants to deal with all these rich, entitled guys all the time? It's just,
You guys make too much money.
It's just a weird thing.
You guys make too much money.
It's just a weird
Let's
thing.
get a cheers, man.
Let's get a cheers, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for the wine, by
It
the way.
smells amazing, too.
Going back to that competitive stamina thing, because I was calling the game, and I knew this because I played in LA, but Clippers home games against the Lakers is not really a home game. Half the crowd are Clippers fans, half the crowd are Lakers fans. And so the arena felt very subdued, you know, because you guys were getting your ass kicked.
Getting our ass
And
kicked.
the body language was bad. I think I even mentioned that on air. Like, you just saw it in the huddles. You saw it coming out of timeouts, going into timeouts. You saw it when guys were getting subbed out.
Yeah.
Like, it was just bad body language. And then, as Darvin Ham said, you decided to put your cape on and lead this comeback. You outscored the Clippers by yourself in the fourth quarter. In that moment where you're down 19 in the fourth, it's a dead game. You know your team is, I call it like letting go of the rope. You know, Doc Rivers used to always say that. Don't let go of the rope.
Yep.
What goes through your mind?
You probably got a few minutes to try to change it, or you're gonna get pulled. Knowing it's a back-to-back. Knowing that, okay, we lose to the Clippers. We got our ass kicked, okay. But we can't then the very next night lose to Washington as well. So I go out there down 19, you know, with the lineup. I believe at the start of the fourth lineup, it was myself, D'Lo, Jackson Hayes, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish. So, you know, coach drew up a play. First play, I believe he drove up Horn's chest, and they fucked up. They fucked up on the Horn's chest. So we ran it again. And that's another thing that bothers me about the NBA too. Why do we not continue? Just run the same thing over and over until they stop it. Guys would run a play one time, then you would score, and then they'd change the play. But anyways, we ran it again, and they fucked it up again. So, I mean, for me, if I see 2 threes go down, I'm going to check and see if it's a heater in his right elbow for sure.
Green light.
And I hit another one. And at this point, now I'm feeling really good. I got a nice bounce in my step. We're getting stops, and you know, I take one down the right wing, and PJ's picking me up in transition, and I rarely shoot the ball on the run. You know, especially if the ball's in my right hand.
Hey, boy, I react to that game. I'm telling you, once you got that little bounce and you shoot and you got that little one leg bounce, you know it's good. You were hot. I ain't gonna lie. Every hooper, when you got that little one leg bounce after you shoot, you know it's good.
On the run.
Look at the little one leg bounce.
Especially if the ball's in my right hand, I rarely shoot it. But I had a bounce and I had a feeling. I felt like I said, if I can make this one go, I know. This is when, like, NBA Jam, you're on fire.
Type shit.
You know, this one goes, yeah. And I let that one go from the right wing by their bench. That's when I kind of almost bumped into T. Lue. And they called timeout. That's when I knew that the momentum can change. You know, the momentum can change, and once the ball, the snowball gets going down that hill, you know, snowball turns into the avalanche, and the avalanche just turns into it's over with. You know, so I just felt good at that moment.
It's a few things there. So, like, with the 3-ball, we've seen it so often now. No lead is really safe.
No.
Think back to early in your career. I came in the league in 06, 07. I played no minutes my first 2 years.
Yeah.
But you know what? If we had a 19-point lead going into the fourth, I might get all 12 minutes of garbage time.
For sure.
People would clear their benches.
Yeah, for sure.
This was 15 years ago.
For sure.
People would clear their benches with a
sure.
17-point lead in the fourth and 9 minutes to go.
For sure.
You can't do that anymore.
You can't do that anymore. You know why? Because I believe in 08, 09, or whenever that little light-skinned fucker came in the league that's in Golden State, he changed that whole narrative. He did. He single-handedly changed the no lead is safe. It's like Pat Mahomes right now.
It's interesting you bring up Steph because I think there's
Love that guy,
a long history of
Steph.
Great players that have impacted the game. And you can see a lineage between different skill sets, right? Michael to Kobe, right? You can see that.
Yep.
I don't know that there's been a player that has influenced the game more than Steph. And you can certainly point to like Harden for sure in that era, Damian Lillard for sure, but you're right, it started with Steph.
When it comes to influence, since I've been watching the game, the most influence on the game, and obviously we know what Mike did for the game.
Sure.
You know, Steph and Allen Iverson are the two biggest influential guys in our game since I've been watching and covering it.
Let me know how y'all feel about that. I agree. I low-key agree. Iverson for sure, and then Steph right after that. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree.
You know, one, they're 6'3", 6'4", if you want to.
Steph ain't no 6'4".
If you want to look on the back of a basketball card, you know, you're always a lot taller on the back of the basketball card.
Iverson like 6'1".
You know, Allen Iverson and Steph, they were just so relatable. And kids felt like they could be them. They were guys that was not always counted on. They were small in stature, and they just defined the odds. So you got AI, who's like unbelievable crossover, cornrows, arm sleeve. We wear arm sleeve. Everyone wears an arm sleeve now because of Allen Iverson. And he's going in the trenches, you know, laying it up over bigs, whatever the case may be.
Everybody tatted up because of Iverson.
Steph, who's shooting over the Empire State Building. You know, it's just like those two are the two most influential when you say the game, how they changed the game, and the kids, and like those are two guys that you just wanted to watch every single night.
I have an arm sleeve because of Allen Iverson. Like, no bullshit.
Listen,
no bullshit.
One of my tattoos is because of Allen Iverson.
Like,
sure.
What I just say,
and
tattoos,
Steph, I think he changed, like the influence with Steph, I think is like he fundamentally changed how we viewed how the game should be played with the three-point shot. Do you think, because part of the Steph thing and this three-point revolution for a fan is that we have now simplified the NBA. All right, we're just going to shoot a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
My question to you, going back to that basketball intelligence piece, does the game require more basketball intelligence now, or does it require less than when you first started?
You can't ask me that because I'm always side on basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Always. I think throughout the regular season, you can get away with a low IQ team if you're talented. You can get away with it in the first round and maybe get away with it in the second round. But when you get to the conference finals, and you get to the finals, obviously, the top 4 teams in the conference finals, they have players, unless the team just happened to hit a heater and they just get lucky. But the top 4 teams normally are going to be the teams with the best players, 4 of the best coaches, and what's going to separate them is now the basketball IQ kicks in. Because there's moments in the game that a coach cannot prepare you for, film can't prepare you for, the history of the game can't prepare you for,
right.
Where you have to have a basketball IQ to make adjustments right away. And if you don't have that level of mind frame or capacity, then a team like Denver, who has one of the greatest IQ guys that we've ever seen in Jokic, you know, Golden State, Draymond, Steph, any one of my teams, if I played you in the finals, myself, And when I won it in 20, it was myself and Rondo on the floor. So I think that those things help. I believe that when Golden State beat Boston, it came down to IQ in the finals. Because Boston, to me, had the better talent.
Hey, I'm glad somebody said it. I'm glad, bro. Boston stacked up well against that Golden State team. Now, of course, Curry got on a heater, but it came down to coaching in that series. Real talk. It came down to coaching because Boston had the talent. Tatum obviously didn't show up. That was coaching. That was the way they was playing, guarding him defensively, stuff like that. Hey, yeah, that shit. Hey, it's facts, bro. I think the same thing talent, this year.
But it came down.
If it come down to Denver versus
IQ.
Boston,
people say experience, IQ.
I think Denver gonna take it.
I made this comment the other day about Tatum. It feels like with him, the reads are quicker. Making the right play, it's just quicker. He doesn't fight the game as much. I did the details thing for ESPN during that finals, and I did Clay was the first episode, Steph was the second episode, Tatum was the third, and so I had all these Tatum clips I got to go through and break down. I never watched the episode. It's behind a paywall. But what I saw was on the isolations on the wing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times would be in the slot, the high quadrant, right? And they've given him space. They would bring that low man over early. Sometimes it was Draymond, but not always. Sometimes it was Clay. And very rarely did he end up getting the Golden State Warriors into rotation. Now it feels like he's just making the play off the ball. Now, it did happen a couple times in that finals. But it wasn't as quick, and it was rare. And obviously with their personnel, like it's different now with Porzingis, but I think that's part of like the growth. So
that's part of the
even
growth.
Going back to like the question about can you teach basketball IQ, in some ways it's innate, but in some ways, if you're studying it and doing it, you can see the growth in a player. Yeah,
because there's a great saying that says the best teacher in life is experience as well. And we look at Tate, he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old, and I believe he's been to the conference finals 4 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Been to the obviously the NBA finals once. He's 25. I didn't win my first one until I was 28. I think Joker won his first one at 27. I think MJ was 28 as well.
Mm-hmm. Kobe without Shaq was around the same age.
So
Steph was.
I think we have a
real talk. If Boston don't get one in the next 3 years, they failed miserably. They got to get one in the next 3 years, man. They got the team for it. What other pieces can you possibly need on that Boston team? This year's a great year. Honestly, I think they're going to beat Milwaukee. I got Boston going to the finals. I got them playing against Denver. Denver versus Boston. Once again, those two teams that stack up evenly, in my opinion, it's going to come down to coaching. That's going to come down to coaching.
Well,
you got two teams that been in the finals. Denver
we have a lot of
1-1.
expectations on JT, but he's experienced a lot of winning in his career so far. And obviously, we everyone wants to see him get over the hump, but 4 conference finals in a finals appearance before the age of 26 that's elite. And like you just said, he's continued to grow, and they are in a position where they can make another title run. And like you said, personnel helps. Adam Porzingis and getting Drew for a bag of Lay's potato chips that helps as well. that helps as well. But JT is definitely the
Hey, whoever got traded for Drew for real, he just overly disrespected.
when you go and you start scouting for Boston, he's the number one guy for sure.
Basketball IQ, to me, when you were earlier than me, when I first got in the NBA, though, what that meant to me in some ways was being able to remember a play. Honestly, as simple as that. Being able to recognize patterns.
Yep.
You come out of an ATO, okay.
Oh my God.
There's a misdirection here. I know there's going to be a pin down coming, right? It's just that's pattern recognition.
Yep.
Offensively, defensively, it's just making the right read.
Making the right read.
Knowing the game plan, like all that. That's basketball IQ. I think what's interesting about today's NBA is what smart coaches do and what smart players do, which did not happen when I first got to the NBA. Nearly every possession, all you're doing is trying to find the right matchup.
A target.
You're playing chess on the possession.
It's target basketball. Yeah.
And that to me is the biggest difference.
Yeah, that never happened.
Bro, I was watching a game. I was calling a game, actually. Guy had the ball, good offensive player, had the ball at the top of the key, and they're playing the Clippers, and end of the shot clock, 7 on the clock. Another guy off the ball is being guarded by Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes up to set a pick and roll for the guy with the ball.
And it makes no sense.
And I'm like, that's just low basketball IQ.
That's just low basketball IQ.
Keep Kawhi away from the ball.
That is low basketball IQ. That is low basketball IQ. That doesn't make any sense. And that happens a lot in our. And I'm going to go back to when you first started it. You said remembering a play. How many guys fuck up a play out of timeout burns me alive. It burns me alive that a coach can sit there and guys, all 5 guys, 10 eyes, are looking at the play and they come out of timeout and fuck it up. It bothers me so bad. But yeah, like you said, you knew, like when you played, you had 2 reads. I'm coming off left, right, and if the big is not up, I'm shooting that bitch.
If he come up, double down.
And if the big is up, I'm pocket passing.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else are we talking about?
Well, the one other thing, sometimes the big would be back, right? And I'd get the stun off the passer.
And you get the stun off the passer.
So like when I played in Philly, they would do that off Ben, and then I would just kick to Ben, and he's got a head of steam going down the lane.
Well, I mean,
right?
and when Ben
you got to read the nail guy too.
You got to read the nail guy.
I don't kind of like underestimate.
Well, that's not. Well, that's not. Well, yes, I agree. I agree. I was more thinking with the Clippers. I was thinking more with the Clippers. Okay. A pocket to.
It's so weird though because even like the coverage on catch and shoot stuff, and there's not a ton of catch and shoot guys right anymore. Where like you're not running floppy. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
But like when I first started running it, or like Ray in Boston.
Ray,
when you're running that, you would always stun up with the big.
With the big.
And the pocket pass was always there.
Always there.
Once teams started playing more drop coverage, they just kept the big back and catch and shoot.
Right.
And so a lot of times that help would actually come off the passer. So if they knew we were in a catch and shoot play, kick to me, the help comes off the passer. Then it's I got to make that read back to the top.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because now offense is so more extended now. You know, the big could be the guy that can help up a little bit because, if you look at like Rip Hamilton, at the time he wasn't coming off their floppy down action going to the 3-point line. He was coming off more elbow action, so you can kind of, contact help with the big, and then mostly when we came in the league. There was a point guard in the front. There was another forward at the free throw line, and there was 2 bigs. So even if you did get extended a little bit when you made the pocket pass, at least the other big, X4, X5, could come over and help. Now, in Boston's case, it's 5 guys on the perimeter at one time.
Nobody's in the paint.
Nobody's in the paint. You have Drew, Jason.
That's facts, though. That's basically what you're talking about. That's what I talk about. What a lot of people talk about. When we talk about higher scoring games nowadays, more possessions. When we talk about, like I was just arguing with somebody they was talking about D Rose averaging 25 and 8 in his MVP year versus Ja Morant somebody said, no, Donovan Mitchell. Someone said, it was crazy ass. They said D Rose not even on Donovan Mitchell level his MVP year because Donovan Mitchell averaging 26 or 27 or whatever this year. And I tell people all the time, bro, D Rose played in the era in 2011 when the paint is compact and he got there whenever he wanted to. Like when it's less possession, the pace of play for the Bulls that year was like 89. Nowadays, almost every team's over 100 pace of play. You getting way more possession. You shooting threes. You playing 5 out like this right here. The whole floor spaced out. Nobody's in the paint, and it's defense of 3 seconds. You can't sit there and stand in the paint playing help side. So the court's so spaced out. D Rose will be averaging 30 plus easy, and that's why I was trying to explain to this person. Just basically what they talking about now with how everything's spaced out. Basically, he was talking about the Rip Hamilton thing. Rip Hamilton would come off screens and he catching the ball on a curl off a screen at the elbow, shooting elbow jump shots and whatever. Well, now all those screens extend out to the 3-point line because everything's spaced out with the 3-point line in the way the game's played now.
Brown.
This is good talk right here.
Porzingis could be at the top. He could be, you got Derek White. They're all over the place. So, the level of where you help from has changed a lot because the bigs in basketball history have been programmed to help no matter where they are, and that's where the IQ comes in too. You got certain bigs that if I just drive this slot, and they say, don't help strong side shooter in the corner. That is the easiest three.
Off instincts, man. My coach, my last year playing, we did not help off corners at all. You cannot help off any corners. If you're on the ball side, you do not help off the corner on ball side at all. And what he just did there, I did it twice in a preseason game. Coach met me at half court screaming in my face and shit. I didn't play the rest of that game because I did it twice because it was off instincts. Just before this, he was trying to program it into us not to help off a shooter in the corner. And off instinct, someone drove, and off instincts, I didn't see nobody coming over to stop the ball. I flew over there, boom, he kicked it to the corner. 3. I get screamed at. Next play down, they did a pick and roll. Guy rolled, passed to the roll guy. Off instincts again, because the guy wasn't fully in the corner. He was a little bit up towards the wing / corner. And I slid over a little bit. Then I remembered not to help out the corner. By the time I got back, he already had threw it out there. He caught it mid-air, threw it out there to the corner. Dude hit another 3. I ain't play the rest of that game. But this is facts right here. You program, off instincts, you're going to help out, especially a big.
And they say, don't help strong side shooter in the corner. That is the easiest 3. You just know that there's certain bigs that he's going to leave no matter what because he's been programmed his whole life to protect the rim.
Mind the game. I love this right here.
I think we can wrap there. Because if I go to the next thing, we're going to talk for another hour.
Yeah, because I can talk.
No, I'm serious. Like, because that was legitimately what I had as episode 1. All right. That's been fun.
How was it? Yeah, just keep rolling. How was it? Subpar? That's me. Only okay? We got room for improvement.
Nah, I loved it though. I loved it.
Episode 1.
I loved it, man. Hey, man. I definitely, when episode 2 drop, I'm gonna react to that. Let me hit subscribe, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit subscribe too, man. Turn that post notification bell on, just like y'all see me doing right here. Hit the like button, just like y'all see me doing, man. It ain't nothing to do none of all of that. You see how long that took me? 10 seconds to do all of that. Hit the subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, hit the like button, comment. Nigga, he said after 10 minutes of watch, I'm ready to apply for NBA coaching job on LinkedIn. Hey, that's funny, bro. Hey, man, y'all hit the y'all do those things that I just said, man. Comment, man. Put in the comments y'all thoughts, man. And with episode 2, I definitely got to react to that, man. I love this right here, man. It's real basketball talk for real basketball players and guys that want to learn about the game of basketball, man. Not for the casuals. I love something that's finally not for the casuals, man.